Hey guys, Malik Foster Travels here. If you're a black traveler thinking about Kenya, you probably ask this question: is Kenya actually safe? Or is it the internet exaggerating? I've been there, I've experienced it, and today I'm giving you the real answer. Some things felt safer than the United States, and some things really surprised me. I am a black American traveler who provides a solo travel experience from my perspective. Malik Foster Travels. Why my opinion matters? I was in Nairobi, Kenya for about 3 months straight. Thus, I have the experience to really give you all the insight into how safe Nairobi, Kenya truly is. Therefore, this isn't from headlines or any third parties or anything like that. It's from me because I've actually been there. Where did I go in Kenya? I went to Nairobi, some tourist areas, and I've been to Mombasa as well. So this isn't from any headlines once again. This is from me actually being there, from my perspective. Okay, what do people really mean when they ask, is Kenya safe? Break it down in three fears. We're going to talk about crime, racism or treatment of black Americans, being targeted as a tourist. So we're going to talk about the safety. It depends where you are and how you move, okay? Let's talk about my personal experience in Kenya with the crime. I felt like the crime it was very minimum. Some areas could be a lot. There's pickpocketing from, especially from boaters and motorbikes sometimes, but generally safe. I felt safe at night and everything. As far as crime goes, that's point number one. Point number two, racism and treatment of black Americans. I felt like I was respected. I felt like I got very well treated very fairly. I was treated very well. I had no issues at all. Everything went pretty smooth for me, and people respected me and gave me equal or even better treatment sometimes. Being targeted as a tourist, I would say sometimes people do target you as a tourist, but not to do you any physical harm in terms of your safety, but into getting to know you, trying to network, try to elevate themselves type of deal. That's the way I felt in Kenya, specifically Nairobi. Okay, some of my personal experience in Kenya, let's cover that. How did I feel when I landed in Kenya? I felt welcome. They said, welcome home. First impression of the locals, they were very friendly, very welcoming. They know a lot about Black American culture, American culture. I was treated very fairly. I was treated very well as a Black American. It was a very good experience. Their personalities really shine through and everything. I didn't really have any moments where I felt safe or uncomfortable. Maybe certain areas like the slums, I wouldn't really go all the time because sometimes they might, it's just everybody speaking Swahili, not too much English, even though they know English. And obviously, when you're dealing with a market environment, sometimes you can get got from, like, they can kind of take advantage of the pricing, per se. Like, you can be overcharged. You know, they might not give you the right thing, especially if you're dealing with the little markets, not like fixed pricing shops that we have here in the United States. So that's another thing to keep in mind. There were times I felt more comfortable walking around than I even do in the United States cities. Like when I'm in some of the good areas, especially Kilimani area, I felt cool. Westlands, you know, everybody seemed pretty cool. It seemed pretty safe. The Kenyan people aren't really that aggressive in terms of the way they handle day-to-day stuff, especially even as a tourist, right? They were very accommodating, and I felt very welcome, to say the least. Okay, guys, I'm going to talk about the real safety risks, no sugarcoating. I'm going to be honest about it. I'm going to say there's pickpocketing like any major city. You got to be careful, especially in some of those markets. You know, they can snatch your phone, snatch any money if you have any of that. Even though Kenya is really a cash-baseless society, everybody uses money, what they call M-Pesa there. That's like American version of Cash App. I'll give you guys an example of that. That's the major thing. Even when I was dealing with my driver on a tour, They were telling me not to, take pictures outside the window in certain areas. If you want to take video or pictures of like the landscape or the city and stuff like that in a public area, of course, avoid areas at night. So certain areas, especially where they're not so secure and where there's not security too much around, I would definitely avoid those areas. Just walking around at night, even though I have done that, but more in a safer, more upscale neighborhood. But obviously, lower income area, I wouldn't advise it, just like the same I would do in the United States. Overcharging tourists. So you gotta be careful of that. Not to say that's a high safety thing, but still, you want to be watching out for people overcharging you because you're a tourist. So you want to make sure you look up the prices, make sure maybe you can find a local friend or somebody who can be of your interest or tell you the truth. Just do your due diligence when it comes to that, because you don't want to be overcharged. Obviously, as a tourist, you'll probably pay more for certain things if you don't know where to go, but you don't want to be intentionally overcharged at the spot if you can avoid it. Let's talk about transportation safety. Ubers versus local taxis. I would definitely take Ubers and Bolts and those ride-sharing apps over local taxis because they're more safe. Obviously, if you have no choice, depending on where you're at in the city, or if you're going to a different area in Kenya, that could be an option as well. Nightlife awareness. I would use the same common sense I would use in the United States when I'm dealing with any nightlife activities, such bars, clubs, restaurants, lounges, any type of nightlife activities you want to be involved in. I would use that. Obviously, the locals will say, mind your phone. That's the major thing, because everybody, they value like different phones, like the iPhone, even certain Androids as well, the newer phones. So, and those phones are not cheap. And in Kenya, you gotta obviously pay all cash for those phones, and those phones can cost like $1,000 plus. So there's that. How safe Kenya feels compared to the United States? Well, Kenya feels really safe compared to the United States. Police presence, let's talk about that. The United States has a heavier police presence, I feel like, than Kenya. Kenya does have security, definitely at malls, banks, certain areas, but it doesn't feel overwhelming. In the U.S., I feel like there's police all throughout, more throughout, especially in major cities. We're comparing cities, right? In all the major cities I've been to, I felt the police presence more in the United States than I felt the police presence in Kenya, Nairobi, if we're doing a comparison between major city. Gun culture or lack thereof, I don't think there is really a gun culture there in Kenya compared to the United States, where, you have your Second Amendment rights and right to bear arms and all that stuff. That's a big difference. The street energy of Kenya, market style, versus U.S. cities, that's very different energy as well. I feel like it's still safe, but obviously the pickpocketing, I feel like, is a higher risk in Kenya than in the United States of the pickpocketing, I guess, depending on the city. But I feel like that was a higher risk, especially with the bodas and all of that, in my opinion. That was something more warning, but there's other crimes that are more prevalent in the United States, I would say, in my experience. But I really didn't have to concern myself, as long as I'm not like in the markets and being careless with my phone in crowds. I feel like you'll be okay in Kenya, in my opinion. How locals interact with me, they're very welcoming, very accommodating. They appreciate me being in their country, respectful. USA, I'm from the United States, so I'm used to how everybody is, a little bit of a rush, like rat race type of mentality in a lot of cities, so it's definitely different. All right, guys, let's go with the final verdict. Is Kenya safe for black travelers? The answer directly is yes. For me, Kenya is safe for black travelers if you move smart, right? Kenya is perfect for people who want to go to Africa, experience a nice city. They want to experience safari. They can experience the beach life, especially for Black Americans. You don't have to learn a new language, even though they speak Swahili. A lot speak English as well, so it's perfect for that. People who should prepare more before going are people who don't have an open mind, really are very prejudiced against Africans, stuff like that. But for the most part, Kenya is a place where, it's kind of easy to get adjusted to and culturally adjust. It's not difficult at all. And a quick call to action, guys, before I get out of here. Let me know if you would go in the comment section. Comment Kenya if you'd go. Like if you want more travel content from me. And subscribe for more honest black travel perspectives, travel experiences, or even travel content. I do that all here. So be sure to like and subscribe, guys. I appreciate y'all. Let me know y'all feedback below if you feel like Kenya's safe or not, or if you're even interested in going. Thank you guys for watching. Be easy. Peace.